Hey Deep Chatters, I'm Leah Morris here with my co-host Jennifer Butler, and this is Deep Chats Podcast, where we have raw discussions about real life. Each week you can expect unfiltered, no BS conversations from the heart about topics that actually might matter to you. We're just a couple of relationship coaches who want to cut through the small talk and dive deeper. So thanks for joining us on this journey, and be sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.
Hello, Deep Chatters. Welcome back. We are here today and we are going to be having, I already know it's going to be an amazing conversation because we have an amazing guest. Her name is Ahmadzai, and I am so beyond excited to have her here. So we're going to be talking about manifestation, and she is the queen, the master, just the person to be talking to about this. So before we jump in though, Ashley, thank you for being here. And I want to turn it over to you to just let our guests know who you are and why you're so amazing and what you do.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for having me here. What an honor to be alongside you two amazing, powerful ladies. And yes, you said it correctly. My name is Ahmadzai. I am a clairvoyant life coach and manifestation expert for high-performing female entrepreneurs. And I specialize in releasing the trapped energies, the suppressed emotions, and the limiting beliefs that keep us playing small in life and in business. And after 8 years of coaching female entrepreneurs, I found that the number one thing that holds us back is invisible. It's the fear, the guilt, the shame, these intangible emotions that can't slap us in the face, right? Like they have no tangibility, yet they have such an impact on our life. And I see people who want to, professionals, they want to ask for the promotion, but they have that fear or that guilt that keeps them from asking, or that entrepreneur who wants to write that book, but they have the fear about having their story be known and true, right? Which is what I love about Deep Chats, because we dive right in and reveal that. And so what I do is help women release all of those stories originate in our nervous system. So limiting beliefs, suppressed emotions, and then also child programming that we're really holding within our body as well. So yeah, that is my work and my love, and the greatest honor in the whole wide world to be able to do what I do. And manifestation is a huge part of that as well, because there is limitless abundance out there for us. We don't create abundance, we create blocks of the abundance. So let's delete those.
Yeah, well, we are going to dive right into that. I mean, first of all, and I'm going to share right off the bat, you are my coach, and I am so honored, right? So honored that I get to work with you. And I think I've learned so much from you in the last month about everything you're talking about. And it's funny because it's the work that I do. It's the work that Leah does as well. I think we all do a lot of work around limiting beliefs and all that stored energy and working through those blocks. But you do something on another level, which is the energetic release and your depth of knowledge around manifestation. So that's where I want to go with this, because that's like your zone of genius.
Yeah, thank you. I am a classically trained psychic, if you couldn't call it that, classically trained. I've always had gifts and abilities. This is kind of where it started. I've always had the gifts and abilities that I thought everybody else had until I became an adult. And then I was like, what? Wait, you don't see things? You don't hear audible voices? You don't smell things in certain scenarios that wouldn't be appropriate? Like, this doesn't make sense. I thought everybody had it. So that's when I pursued, education and got trained with the Psychic Institute. And I worked with 2 of the top psychics in the world to develop that skill. And so that's when I realized, I love business. I've been an entrepreneur forever, but I also have these skills as a psychic. So how can I blend the two in empowering women in an amazing way? And one of them is helping women develop their gifts and tune into their inner truth, their inner infinity of who they are and who they're meant to be in this world, but also with manifestation, because, and this is what I love, we are taught to be skinny and tired and small and quiet. But 2020, our generation and beyond, we are just completely uprooting that entirely. And so we allow ourselves to step into our power, into what it is that our desires truly are, and know that that is available to us. We become so much stronger, so magnetic, so limitless. And that is the work. And the psychic ability helps me kind of dive into that in a deeper level, because I'm like, oh, there's a block right there in your gallbladder. or or what I'm hearing right now, like people will talk and sometimes I see it. Clairvoyant is the ability to see mental image pictures in my mind. So sometimes when someone's talking to me, I will see their words in an image. And I'm like, whoa, I'm seeing right now, like an airplane, like, a paper airplane. I'm like, let's catch that. What is that doing there? Let's open it up, see what the lesson is for us, and then we can choose to let it go into the ethers. It gets exciting.
I have a question because I feel like I want to what is manifestation, first of all? Because before we even get into the how, I want to know what is it? What would you define that as?
Yeah, so manifestation is the art of holding a thought in your mind long enough for it to manifest. So just like the law of gravity, if I take this crystal and I drop it, I won't do that. But if I were to drop it, right, the law of gravity is that it's going to fall down. It's something that you can't really see. You can't see the gravity pulling it down, but it's a universal law. Party. It's a universal law. And we know that it happens. And it's the exact same thing with the law of attraction. So there are prosperity principles, there are the universal laws. And gravity is one of them. Same with the law of attraction, which is that what we think about, we bring about. And that because everything is energy, our thoughts included, that we can raise our vibration to be an energetic match for whatever it is that we desire. An example of this is oh my gosh, this happens all the time. If you are driving in your car and you happen to look over at someone and you're like, oh, he's cute, or oh, he's picking his nose, or whatever it is. And that person looks at you and you're like, right? How did they know to look at you? It's because you're sending this energy signal of acknowledgement to them. They pick up on it subconsciously, and then they look over. Same thing happens if you connect with someone in a room, like a conference, hundreds of people, right? And all of a sudden you're just bing, and your eyes meet and you feel that zing of energy. That is the power of our mind. What we think about, we bring about, right? So if I'm thinking I want to talk to that person, or what's that person doing, it's going to attract their attention, and then eventually they'll come to us, right? Or make eye contact. That's how it is with the law of attraction. And so we can call in anything that we desire. Maybe it's something physical, like a dream car, a dream house, or a dream partnership, but it can also be the intangible. I want to feel peace. I want to feel abundance. We have permission to call that in. And so manifestation is, again, the art of holding a thought in your mind long enough for it to come to fruition. Knowing that it's available to us at any time, and it's just our extra effort.
Yeah, I love that definition. And I think too, it kind of makes me think about different things that I, want to manifest in my life. And that, I guess, for instance, I'll say, really deep, healthy love is something that I want to manifest. And I feel like I've been focused on that for so long not so long, but I feel like I've been focused on that there were so many things in my life that I have to let go of in order to make space for that. And I think that's sometimes a misconception when it comes to something like manifestation, is why am I not receiving that yet? And why is this not looking like how I'm expecting it to look? And sort of letting go of it looking a certain way, and maybe surrendering to this is actually getting me closer to that, experiencing things that loss and pain, letting go of people that aren't aligned with me and that aren't healthy love. I don't know, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent now, but I think that that's part of it too. And it's kind of important to address.
Yes, totally. And I always say it's this or something better. I think I heard that from someone, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but I do say it is that all the time, is it's this or something better. Anything that's happened in our lifetime, in our experience, that's really awful and painful, it's this or something better. And whether it's a relationship, it's a shitty job, it's whatever it is. So keeping that in mind. Another thing with relationships too is we have our journey within our, current experience in this lifetime. And also that partner, for example, whoever it is that we're meant to be with, has their journey. And so what I see so often, even my husband, actually I'll use me as an example, my husband and I, he is my greatest love. I'm so honored and grateful. Like, he is one of my greatest manifestations ever. And we actually went on a date, a couple dates, like nothing happened, in college. So it was like, I was like 18. I'm 31 now. So I was like 18. It was a long time ago. And we went on those 2 dates, and he's like, are you ready to take it to the next level? And I was like, you're a great guy, but I'm like not ready for that. And broke his heart. I'm so glad that I didn't, because I was like wild and I wasn't ready and available for it. And his name is Ahmadzai, right? So that's going to be important later. But the moral of the story is, it wasn't the right time then. And then fast forward, after going through a separation, I remember, oh my gosh, I remember how I felt treasured, how he talked to me, how much fun we had. And I wasn't like really into him in that way, but I remember how it made me feel. And so I looked him up, and I had no idea how to spell Farhad. This was like back in MySpace days. And then 4 years ago, we had Facebook, and I was like, Farfur. What are the freaking vowels? Is that even his name? Like, I've never heard it before, right? And so I was praying, like, God, angels, guides, universe, like going through this breakup. And I was a mom. My daughter was 6 months old. And I was like, I'm scared to leave this relationship. I'm so terrified. I don't know what to do. I'm not looking for a partner, but I need safety. I need guidance. It's this or something better. I know that it is. And all of a sudden, he put on my heart Farhad. And I was like, oh yeah, that's how a relationship should feel. That's kind of the template of a man that I want for my daughter. And I was like, I should look him up on social media, because that's what we do sometimes. And so thank goodness I found him on there, and we had like one mutual friend in common. And the spark notes of this is I did connect, and we had a beautiful conversation. I was like, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm going through separation of everything I'm experiencing. I hope that you're doing amazing in life. And I just want to let you know, you made me feel so wonderful and so valued. And I really appreciate that. So that's all I wanted to say. Like, no strings attached. I hope you're doing awesome, but I need to get that off my chest, because for some reason, the universe put that on my heart. I need to tell you. And then he was walking back and forth later, and he's like, I think she wants me to ask her on a date. And so he did. And here we are. The moral of the story is, with manifestation, is it's this or something better, right? And it's all about timing. The only thing we ever mess up is the timeline. So that's number 2. And then as far as the different circles of our personal experience, for him, he left. After we dated, he left and went to San Diego. And then like went and got his master's, and then he came back to Reno. If we would have dated before, our lives would have looked totally different. Thank goodness it didn't work out. Thank goodness. And so when we honor our journey, we honor somebody else's journey, our potential partner, and say, hey, I know it's going to happen what's meant to, because they're going through their own thing too. For me, I was going through a separation. For him, he was graduating grad school, whatever that looks like. Then the perfect timing will happen. And the only thing we do mess up is the timeline.
I love your story. I didn't know that. That's
it's so sweet. It was really cool, because when I called him, I'm very outgoing. And when I did call him, and I was like messaging him, and I was like, hey, can you chat? He's like, I can't, we're going to dinner right now, but maybe tomorrow. And I was like, cool, I'll talk to you then. He's like, can I ask why? And I was like, stupid. I had no idea. I had just prayed, and like God put it on my heart, and I just got into this weird zone, which happens when I'm channeling. And I was like, what am I doing that? And then when I did talk to him, he's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was a Cutco call. Like, no, this is your wife calling. Your wildest dreams coming true, actually.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Out there.
Yeah. So I have a question, because as I'm like just kind of feeling into like how listeners kind of just getting in their skin, you have such access, right? Like you channel, and you have been connected to your psychic abilities forever and ever. And so for you, it might feel a little bit easier to get there. And so what I hear a lot from clients and from other women, and even myself, they'll say, I can't hold a vision. Like, I can't see it. I have a hard time seeing pictures or seeing anything. And so I try to talk myself into it, but I can't see it. And so then they kind of get stuck in that, like, well, can I am I manifesting if I can't actually create a vision?
Beautiful. So 2 responses to that. Number 1 is that manifestation, we're always manifesting, but it's also a muscle, right? So the more we work it, the easier it gets. It's like the stronger we get to where, for example, say this is a weight, right? The more I lift this, I'm going to get stronger, and it's going to be easier to manifest bigger, more intense things quicker. So it is a muscle to work. And just like if you're like, I'm going to manifest for a week, it's the same thing as, and then give up, right? Which some people do. It's the same thing if people are going to eat a salad once a week and be like, I want to be fit, or, work out once a week. And so it is a muscle for sure. The other thing is that everybody has different gateways, just like we learn in different ways, like whether we're visual, we're auditory, we're kinesthetic. That's the same with gateways and how we can receive information. So my primary is clairvoyance. All my gateways are open, which is the ability to receive psychic information, but primarily it'll come in through clairsentience, which is the ability to feel. You're like, oh, I don't know why, but this just feels right, or this just feels wrong. The claircognizance is the knowing of like, I don't know why, but I just know what I need to do, or I know what I need to not do, right? And then so all of them are open, but the clairvoyant is the primary one. So if somebody is having trouble seeing it, and manifestation is really built upon visualizing, my encouragement is to find an avenue that works for you. If you're more like kinesthetic, then maybe journaling. Future casting is a beautiful thing. Oh, it's on the ground, but I have my journal right next to me. When I have blocks come up, I immediately get into my journal. I sit at this desk all day. So I literally just like have all my tools right here. But also when I'm struggling, if I'm feeling some blocks around what it is that I'm manifesting, especially like big income goals, it can feel really big or scary. Maybe it is a relationship and it's like, I've felt like I've fallen on my face before, and you feel those blocks. You can journal it out and future cast and say, it feels so good knowing that this partner is sleeping next to me right now, and he or she is so peaceful, and our room is just so beautiful and at ease, and I love waking up to the sweet smell of coffee. And you can journal it out, so that way you're not seeing it up here, but you can write it in a different way. So you're still eliciting the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions associated with it, but you're working with your skill set. So number 1 is you can develop any skill set that you want. Certainly gateways, right? Clairvoyance. I have meditations if anybody's interested in developing your clairvoyant abilities, but also work with what you have. Another tool to embody what you want to manifest, I'm seeing a vision of gardening. And so someone's in their garden, and as they're planting their beautiful flower, and they're like, tucking in the roots, and they're watering and nourishing it, knowing that that is their dream for maybe their partner. This flower or this bunch of flowers is a dream for their partners. And I will see you, and I will nourish you, and I will love on you and shower you with all that you deserve. And then they go to the next plant, and maybe that next plant is something else that they want to attract or manifest. So there are many different creative ways and avenues to work with whatever aligns best with you, but most importantly, to bring in the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, the emotions, and the intention to nourish those dreams, rather than being too scared to face them, which can happen too. Because sometimes my dreams get real scary, because I'm like, oh, I'm ready for this. Like, you have been elevated to a position such as this. And I was like, that's terrifying. But okay, if you say so.
I love that garden thing. I was actually just talking to a client yesterday about how they're building a garden, and I tried to get him to tie it into his experience and his journey of what he was trying to bring into his life. And so I love that you brought that up. It was like, I was just talking about that. And I think that is something for me. I do the journaling, I do the visioning. I'd like to do all 3 of the things that you mentioned. And I find that like really the tangible things help too. Even when I'm like painting or creating something new, or again with like plants and gardening, cooking a meal, it's all very like meditative and very symbolic to me. And I feel that because it is tangible, and even with cooking, for instance, using more of my senses helps even. I'm able to smell it. I'm able to taste it. My body is sort of like lit up in all these different areas, and it just makes it more real for me.
Yeah.
I love that you said all those.
Yeah, a really powerful tip that you can do, and I don't know what this is called. It's just something that I've been doing, and it's like, it's magic. It really is. And I feel so confident teaching manifestation. It's a really bold thing to say, like, manifestation expert, right? Because we're never really an expert in anything. But I was like, but I'm super badass at it because of these tricks, but also this one I'm going to share with you. And what I've noticed is, what's the best way to put this? So my old house, we just bought this house. This is like my dream house. I'm so grateful. I've had this on my vision board. Every morning I would envision myself walking through my new house and how it would feel and how it would look, and like the wraparound country kind of yard outside. Like I would walk into and act as if. And so now it's here. I call that, so I'll step into that. It's called the millionaire morning, where I'll open my eyes and I will envision either something in the future, like my beautiful house that I knew we were going to be purchasing sometime soon. I didn't know what it looked like. I just knew how I wanted to feel walking in my house. And so my alarm would go off, and then I'd close my eyes. It takes me a few to get up. And then I close my eyes and just visualize me like standing up, walking through my beautiful walk-in closet, washing my face and what it would look like, and just walking through before my day even started. And then go through that whole process. I journal by the window and feel the morning light on my face, and everybody else is quiet and asleep. And I would just walk through that whole thing and bring it into my present space. And boom, we bought a house in the middle of quarantine, which is bananas. I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. So holding the vision is huge. But what I really wanted to say was, when you're cooking, for example, when you're cooking in your kitchen where you're comfortable and you're feeling all the feelings and emotions, envision that you just hit that income goal in your present state. Bring the income goal into your present state. Bring that partner who's going to be coming home, walking through the door in the next 30 minutes. Bring the feeling of the knowing in your present state. Because here's what I found. In my older house, the one before this, I would dream about hitting 20K months, 20K months, 20K months. And I would just like dream and dream and dream. It didn't happen when I bought my beautiful house. It didn't happen when I changed into this like other person. It happened when I was ready for it. And so I was in the same house. I was in the same bed that I had been dreaming in when I had actually a 20K cash day in my business. So I thought that when I, have a beautiful walk-in closet, then I'll have a 20K day. Or when I hit this goal weight, then I'll have the partner. Or and that's not true. What if we bring it into our current experience, because you can have it now, and it's actually more realistic as you're cooking, for example, to be like, I know when the time is right, he's going to walk through that door and I'm going to get the biggest kiss on my neck and hug and snuggle, or whatever that is. And that's a super powerful thing, where now I'm not waiting for something to happen. I just trust it's going to happen right now and bring it into the current experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's almost like living future backward.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it, but that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. It's like living. And this is, and this is how I work with my clients, just on a completely different level. But what I talk to them about is learning how to allow the future to pull us forward instead of living from the past and letting that influence us. What if we allowed the future to influence us? And so that's, it sounds exactly like what you're saying. It's like, let's live into that, because that's where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what we're doing is we're telling the universe that we're ready for it now. Sometimes when we set these boundaries of, for example, here's what I'll hear sometimes is, I have to hit this goal weight before I can go out and date. I've heard that. And so what we're telling the universe is, oh, I don't want it right now. No. I have to hit my goal weight first before Mr. Right can come in. That's an illusion. Like, you just put a block in the way of that happening. So what if we just delete that altogether, right? Like releasing the illusion, releasing the block and saying, I'm ready for it now. It's this or something better. And it's always happening in perfect timing. You know, my success, my desires are coming to fruition in perfect timing. And that's another huge part of manifestation is trusting too, because I'll notice that people get really frustrated and they're like, I've been manifesting and I've been journaling and I've been doing all the things and it hasn't happened yet. Oh yeah. I forgot. We talked about that. In one way, it sometimes when we have that energy, and I've had it too, where I like fell to my knees and I was like, I teach this and why is it not working? Here's what I realized. By me saying when I'm doing everything and it's not working or my best is never enough, I was telling the universe was like, okay, your best is never enough. You can try anything, it's not going to work. Because that was the belief that I was like putting ahead of myself. And then I like fell to my knees. I was so angry. I was like, ah, and then I like fell apart, you know, to put myself back together and realizing it's this or something better. And I trust you. I release the control and I totally surrender and guide me in my journal, guide me in my lucid dreaming, guide me in beautiful, powerful conversations and podcasts like this with earth angels and wisdom speakers who share life and breathe life into me. Please help me find those answers. I know that they're there. I'm willing to see things differently and I'm available when you feel that I am ready. And then like, boom, everything happened. Like, and continues to happen. I can't even believe it. August is like one of the most amazing months of my life.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like
I love
trust.
that. Oh.
Trust is like the biggest word that I've heard you say. Like we can have all these like building blocks and things that we're doing and processes and practices, but without that like cap of trust on the top of all of it, it's a block instead. Like I'm going to do all these things, but I don't really actually trust that they're going to happen. It's like that you're not going to really get anywhere. So I love that the trust and the belief and the surrender is really that like what keeps the door open.
I have a question based on that for you, because Leah, I think we've had this conversation before about how important or necessary is it for a person to have some sort of belief in something bigger than them, whatever that is, right? And we had a conversation about how is that essential in growth, in taking risks, in doing personal development work and things like that. And I'm curious, as you guys are, you know, having this conversation, how important is that? Like, is that a necessary component of being able to manifest that there is something bigger than you?
Yes and no. So yes, in the sense that I feel that we can breathe deeper into our desires if we have a higher source that we can trust will take care of us. That we can trust that and know that we are fully and truly supported and our success is inevitable and every step that we take is supported. So yes, in that sense, I think it makes it easier. And I had a lot of trauma growing up. And there's this one in particular moment that was excruciating and so painful and ultimate betrayal. And I lost all faith in God. I was a kid. I was 13. I was like, God, I believed in you. I trusted you. I've been talking to you and you allowed this horrible thing to happen. I thought you were going to save me and you weren't there. You're not fucking real. And I lost all faith. And I was like, you would never allow this. A good God would never allow this pain and abuse and trauma to happen to a child. And I lost everything. And then from there, it went from, I was like taken away by social services as a kid. And then I was literally left on a doorstep by my other parents. And they're like, you can't come home. I was still in high school. So my philosophy became like, it's me, myself, and I'm going to work really, really hard for everything that I have. And I did. And I always have. In that case, I lost my faith, but I was still manifesting because my intention was, I'm going to do my best. This is what I want. And I'm working towards it. So you're going to manifest whether you believe in it or not. Same with gravity, right? Like whether you believe in gravity or not, like it's still going to hold you to the ground, ideally on this planet for as long as we know, right? Don't give up on us, gravity.
I don't know the way this year's going.
I know what's gonna happen. Like
we're gonna be floating by the end of the year.
About us ascending, I had no idea what that meant. So, for the most part, we know that gravity, whether we believe in it or not, or we have a higher source or not, it's still a universal law that keeps us grounded. It's the same thing as manifestation. So it's going to make it easier if you have a higher source that you're leaning on and you can trust. Just like if you're in a dark room, oh my gosh, if I'm in a dark room by myself, I get really nervous. If my daughter's there, I'm so brave. She's 5, right? But I become so brave for her, but also I know somebody is there, right? And if I had one of you girls in the room, I'm like, oh yeah, we're good, we're safe. And so having that support is really powerful. But we're always going to be manifesting, and that's why people who are atheist or people who don't believe in manifestation, they're like, I manifest, or they don't say that, but they're like, I get my goals and my dreams anyways. And it's like, yeah, because your mindset is in that space. You're just not reaching upward, you're reaching out, but energetically you're still putting out the vibe and becoming an energetic match for what it is that you want to create.
I love that answer. I'm glad
that was a smart question.
That's a great answer, because I do feel like much of what you're saying resonates, but there are pieces of what you're saying that don't for me. And so I know that I'm probably not the only one. And, as far as like our listeners go, I love that distinction, or not even a distinction, but the room that you've, I don't know, said like there's space for everyone, like everyone can do this. What I like to, I guess, envision as a higher power, and I was raised very religious and with a Christian background, and my beliefs have changed quite a bit, but I feel now more than ever I'm able to manifest and keep my focus. And I think that what I like to call it is what I trust is my intuition. And rather than reaching up or out or even in, it's just there. And I feel that when I can really tune into whatever that like center core piece of me is, that piece that's like unwavering and never going anywhere, I fully surrender and put my trust into that. And there's sometimes no answers to what I'm hearing or feeling, but it does, I think, help. It's helped me to at least have this idea of maybe not even something bigger, but just like being a part of something that's extremely powerful, and it's like innately part of me too. It's kind of how I
Yes. And I love that so much, because Jen, I know, you're brilliant. Leah, you're brilliant too. When I talk to you, Jen, and our philosophy is like, you have everything you need to succeed already within you, and we don't need to delegate our power outwards. And so to totally hearing everything that you're saying, Leah, because that makes perfect sense. We have it inside of us, which is why when we quiet our mind enough to hear our heartbeat, it's a reminder of God within us, if you will. And that's the most important thing, which is why meditation and yoga, these things that slow us down enough to finally hear that and mute out the noise, that's when we find the greatest transformation. So I love that. And that's a very, very important part as well, because I think that's where, Jennifer, what you and I were talking about, we're like, I'm doing the journaling and the this and the vision board and all of the things.
And the crystals.
Yeah, I got the crystals and the essential oils.
It's how we all have our crystals.
Got those too.
So funny. Yeah, we're doing all the things. I feel like that's a really great point I haven't thought of. That's kind of us going outward. I'm doing outward things, but are we doing the inward things? Are we really spending time and saying, hey, what is it that you need? What is our next step? Please guide me. And I think there's a balance between the two. So Leah, I'd love to know, I know you said some of this resonates with you and some of it doesn't. And so I want to know what parts are, you're like, I get that, but I don't. Because I want to like know so I can smart questions, and then I can grow in my practice too.
No, definitely. I think what I was just really referring to was and I think it's because I have this story for myself around the thought of God, quote unquote. And so, and I know that that's something that I just really consciously, when I hear that, I create meaning for myself in that, within that word. But I know that also I didn't always think that way. And so I kind of, as far as like a lot of what our listeners are hearing too, wanted to open that term up to mean something more and have it fit for more people. Just because I know with me, there's like a, when I hear that. And so that was the main thing that I was thinking didn't quite resonate. But with like everything else you're saying, you describe it in a way that is there's a really nice balance between like tangible and intangible. And I really love that because I think that it adds groundedness to something that is hard to grasp. And I think a lot of times when I hear about manifestation from other people or reading about it in books or, forgive me if you're a fan of this book, but I like, what's the book called? It's called, The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. And I got about halfway through it and just some of the verbiage that was used and the describing of it and the way that it was worded, it just wasn't hitting for me. I couldn't grab onto it enough. And so I'm just really loving the way that you're saying it because I wanted to grab on because I knew for me, it's something that I do believe in practice. I've never quite had words put to it. And so, yeah, that's the main thing that wasn't resonating was the term of like God or higher power. It was just, it's just hard for me to hold that.
Right. And I totally understand. I 100% understand. And I'll be really honest too, it kind of confuses me a little bit because so I'll change my verbiage around this of holy God, creator, source, angels, guides, universe, because to me, it's kind of like the word love. Like we can put a definition to it, but the definition isn't even important because it's the meaning. And so if we take the words out of it and you're just left with the soul of the word love and you feel it, the word's coming to me is like omnipotent, but it's not that. It is kind of, but that love is God, angels, guides, universe, holy, creator, source, higher power. So to me, all of the words are like the definition, but the soul of it is what I know to be true. So I kind of like to share with a range of all audiences. Well, sometimes I say all of them, but love is really what God is. And so God, universe, whatever, right? It's all things, but I totally understand because coming from the church and oh my goodness, I was really involved in the Christian church, prior to like Bible study at my house, prior to me coming out about my psychic gifts very publicly. And I kind of got dropped by a lot of people. And I had people tell me, have Satan flee from your heart and pray for him. And I was like, you threw my baby shower, like, why are you being so hurtful? And there was a lot of that in judgment. And so I was like, well, I don't want to use the word God because I don't want to be associated with you. And then I just got mad. I'm like, I'm not in your box. I'm not in your box. I'm not in your box. And so different words in my mind have different associations, different boxes. And so I haven't found the best way to say, I don't want any of the boxes. It's like all the boxes just turned into little tiny confetti. It's love,
I love that.
I think a lot of us have had, I've had to do so much work around letting the word God be a part of my vocabulary. I remember finding Marianne Williamson, and she speaks God all the time, but not in the way that, I learned God in the Catholic Church. And I really took my time listening to her and going to see her and reading A Return to Love and just really allowing myself to create a new framework around what God is for me. And I do the same thing when I pray. It's God, universe, Mother Earth, angels, guides, all that's available to me. Like I get them all in, and because it really is this essence, but it's more than that, Leah. It's exactly what you're talking about. It's it's that thing inside of you, and you get really present and you go in, and it's your truth, it's your knowing, it's the deepest part of you that just doesn't move. It's like grounded into the pit of the earth. That's it. It's there, whatever you want to call it, right? And so it's just interesting how triggering that word is for many people, but like how valuable it is that it triggers you if you're able to kind of go in and explore and like really connect with what that means for you.
You know, it was really sweet. So Presley, she's 5, and this was like pre-quarantine. We are in the backyard, and we're at a friend's backyard, and the trees, they're making this beautiful sound. And I was like, honey, look at the trees. What are they saying to you? She goes, God has a period. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. So not only like, what do we call it? Is it he or she? Because we'll bring that conversation into there too. So I actually get confused too. I'm like, do I say he when I need to use the pronoun, or it, which sounds like if there's a child and I'm like, I like your child, it likes to eat. Like that's rude, right? So would I do that about a high power? Is it he? Is it she? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it triggers a lot of the programming that we've had, that like there's this man and he's watching us and judging us, and right. And it triggers all of that stuff.
I love this conversation. I love how this has gone from like welcome to Deep Chats. I love how this has gone from like manifestation to like, what is God?
Yeah.
But I love that we also all have like similar narratives that we've allowed to still evolve into like what creates most meaning for us, and has the most lightness and openness and availability like to that manifestation channel for us. And I think that's really, at least for, I'm not the expert here, but I think that that's what holds the most power, is like making sure whatever it is that you are trying to manifest, and whatever you're trusting in that will pull you forward, like you were saying, Jen, like allowing the future to pull you forward into it. There's no name, but maybe more of a feeling and an energy, and it doesn't necessarily have to be God or angels or all the things that you guys listed off, but whatever it is for you, it's totally valid.
Mm-hmm. And it's safe. And what keeps coming up, I'm like, I don't want this to like derail the conversation, but this line keeps coming up. And this is it's almost like my own manifesto, coming from a world with a lot of judgment. You know, I was a dancer, I was a model. It was cutthroat in the industry that I was in, you know, who was the skinniest, who flirted the most, who, you know, those kinds of things. And so I became really judgmental back in like my early 20s and like 19 and, you know, and beyond, because that's how I survived. So this line that's coming through is, the light in you is all I see, and I will meet you there. And I feel the light that we see in other people that neutralizes any of the, you know, Republican, Democrat, Black, white, racist, not like all of those things are 3D, right? But the light in you is all I see. And that is that holy part of us, like the soul part of us, which we can all agree on. And I feel on the core level that love, like that soul, that holiness, whatever, I think it's beyond words, right? Like that is our truth. And when we choose to meet each other there in that space, that's when the magic happens. And I feel like what's coming to mind is like, that's the 0 point, you know, that's the point when we've like truly evolved as a culture, as a country, as a people, when we can agree that, you know, the light in you is all I see, and I'll meet you there, no matter the religion, no matter the race, no matter any of those, again, like 3D boxes, if you will. And it's just like, I see it just playing across my own mental screen. The light in you is all I see. So for all of the viewers, right, like that's a huge gift for you too, and a reminder, because if I notice myself like judging or critiquing, or which all those things are normal, right? And that's not even what's happening in this like conversation, but the line came up for a reason, is just a reminder of like, hey, something might be different, but I'll see you in the light. The light in you is all I see, and I'll meet you there.
Well, and it totally ties back to manifesting, right? Because I think a lot of times we figure out what we want by seeing other people, right? And if we're figuring out what we desire from this place of jealousy and like resentment and all of that, we're not going to manifest, right? We're going to be in this feeling of lack and lower vibration. But if we have this ability to see the light of what that person is and meet them there, then we're manifesting from a higher vibration and feelings of abundance and things. And then that's how we'll manifest. So I think it like completely wraps everything up in this beautiful little box with a nice little bow.
Yeah. So true. That's a power tip, is we can call in our abundance only when we are the vibration to wish other people abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can tell, someone is like, how do I know if I'm blocked? Well, you know if you're blocked when you look at somebody else and your first thought is a negative one or a judgmental one, rather than saying, wow, look at you go, or thank you for showing me what's possible, or good for you. Those are two different perceptions and reactions. And so we can always tell everybody's a mirror for us. You know, if we're blocked, especially like I work with entrepreneurs, then they want to hit like a big income goal, but then they look at somebody else and like, but she's faster than me and she's this and she's that. And I'm like, honey, you're blocked, right? Like, let's just remove that illusion that she's even your competition. She's your sister, right? And she's showing you what's possible. We should give her a big high five and send her a voice message about how grateful you are that she's shining so fucking bright in a world where women, you know, now we're becoming more normalized for us to shine. You know, like that's the attitude we need to have about it. And then that puts us, exactly as you said, Jen, in that higher vibration to receive as well. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
It's so funny because for the people that can't see you, the listeners maybe that are listening to the podcast and not actually watching the YouTube, Ashley, you're glowing. And I've been on a couple calls with you now, and each time that you're just like this beaming, energetic, vibrant light. And so if you get a chance to watch the YouTube, I just think that you're just so fascinating to watch talk. I can see the passion and like you really, really, truly stand behind who you are and are in full ownership of yourself. And it's just very, very inspiring. If anyone wants to find you outside of this podcast, and I know you said you had some meditations for manifesting, where do you think that you could instruct them to go?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for that. I was like feeling myself get emotional. And what came to mind was like, you have been elevated to a position such as this. And by removing my own blocks and like pursuing forward, I have the beautiful opportunity to be here. So again, thank you. And thank you for honoring that, because I felt it deep in my soul. Like, this is the right path and the right message to be sharing with the world. So yeah, Ashley Ahmadzai. So far, I'm the only one. So you can find me on all the platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram. And then my website is ashleyahmadzai.com. And actually, if you go to my website, everything is there. And then, yeah, Ahmadzai, Ahmadzai. I know it'll be in the show notes. And then if you guys want to connect with me, get in my DMs on Facebook or on Instagram. I also have an academy, the Mediocre to Magical Academy, where I do free trainings and tips. And actually this month I'm doing a money manifestation series where it's going to be weekly tips for the next 8 weeks. So lots of free value in there and giveaways and things. So I would be so honored to connect with you. And I'm a people person. So I want to know you. Don't hide and just like leave little hearts. I want you to like tell me what was most inspirational for you in this podcast. And then we'll connect and be best friends forever.
Yay. And if you could leave them with one like word of wisdom or phrase, what would that be?
what's coming to mind is I love you. And that could sound in some ways like cheesy, but here's what I know is in times when I wasn't loving myself and I felt broken, I felt like I couldn't do it, I borrowed other people's belief in me and their love. And just like how you shared with me, Leah, of like, I see that you're glowing. And so when I say I love you to our viewers and to our audience, I want you to know that I do. And I hope that you can feel that. And any time where you're feeling low and down, I want you to hear my voice. And I want you to just like put it in your hand, put it in your pocket, put it in your heart and absorb it and know that it's always there for you for later. And I'm here to support you 100% in person if you're in Reno, Nevada, or in any of the social media spaces.
You are a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you.
Lord, thank you so much for being on the show, Ashley. What an honor it is. Jen, thank you for inviting her and for creating this space to happen. It's been a real pleasure talking to you today, and I hope all of our listeners could, hopefully leave us a review after they've heard this. Let us know what you think. Otherwise, until next time, Deep Chatters, thanks so much for tuning in.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Hey Deep Chatters, I'm Leah Morris here with my co-host Jennifer Butler, and this is Deep Chats Podcast, where we have raw discussions about real life. Each week you can expect unfiltered, no BS conversations from the heart about topics that actually might matter to you. We're just a couple of relationship coaches who want to cut through the small talk and dive deeper. So thanks for joining us on this journey, and be sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.